This is the free motion quilting project for Crazy Weave. This design is stitched very simply. You just simply stitch from one edge of your quilting space to the other with a wiggly, curvy line. Then you're going to travel stitch and echo that line a couple times. Really doesn't matter how many times you echo it. This is entirely up to you. Then you're going to create a little bit of space, and it's a gap line. So you're going to travel stitch and create these gaps, but at some point interconnect with that line before it. Then just simply echo a few more times, give some space between that line and the last gap line, and then create another gap line. In that situation, I travel stitched first and then branched off with my gap and then reconnected. You'll notice that this is basically another design. This is called flowing lines, and it is a design created by stitching these fluid, curvy lines and creating these gaps. And there are actually other designs created by filling those gaps with other designs. Goldilocks is a design that's created by filling in those gaps with stippling. And Pebbles in a Stream was created by filling in those gaps with pebbles. So there's a lot of things that you can do with just this baseline design. But what we're doing this time is we're stitching the basic form of it, just these simple flowing lines, and then we're going to layer another set of flowing lines on top to create the Crazy Weave. It's a very organic design. You can pretty much do anything you want to with this and allow it to be very freeform. And the nice thing about it is, even if you mess up, even if things don't look perfect, it's still going to look good. So we fast forwarded on with this design, and I'm right here towards the end of the first part of it. And again, if you wanted to, you could stop right here and call it flowing lines and you'd be done. But we really want to see Crazy Weave and how this design is different and what kind of texture it's going to create, because it's going to create quite a different texture from just this horizontal or vertical flowy line texture. So now I just simply rotate the entire quilting piece and start stitching the same design but in the opposite direction. So I have horizontal flowing lines, and now I'm stitching over that with vertical flowing lines. And it is a little confusing to try and remember which set of lines you're working on. So just try and keep your piece moving straight up and down. That really helps, because it helps you be able to see which direction you're going. You know you're just going forward and back rather than side to side. So you can see I just stitched a gap line right there, travel stitching and echoing that line. And already you can see the funky texture that is being created by overlapping and interlocking these flowing lines. It creates a woven texture, almost like a very loose weave. If you ever had a hand-woven scarf or shawl, and how things kind of start wearing, especially if it was woven with a very loose weave, this is kind of the effect. And it's crazy and a little organic, but at the same time, it's a very formal design. It's a grid. Essentially, it's a grid, but it's a free-form grid. And other free-form grids we have are matrix and matrix rays. So definitely check out all of these different designs and see what you can do with them. This is just one variation of just taking simply the same design and stacking it on top of itself to see what happens. And here's what it looks like whenever you finish Crazy Weave. Find over 300 videos on free motion quilting, including all of the videos that I mentioned in this video, Goldilocks, Pebbles in a String, and Matrix, at the Free Motion Quilting Project, freemotionproject.com.